Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Rum on the Couch video number 81. Dave here from Manchester Rum Festival, and for this episode I actually want to focus on something I should have done back in December when it was launched. But because of Christmas, because of the launch of Manchester Rum Festival 2022, I've delayed myself, and it's got to January and we're nearly into Feb. So I apologise, but I want to focus today on the new range of Appleton Estate Hearts collection. This is for 1984, and I also have been sent the 2003. Now, as I say, I have, been sent these, but that does not necessarily reflect my response towards them. Because obviously, if you remember one of the previous Rum on the Couches, I focused on the Appleton Hearts collection. The first, first round. There was 3 different expressions back then. I was very happy to hear that I was also worthy of having the latter 2 as well. I saw some very good responses. Obviously, unfortunately, I missed the actual tasting online with Joy Spence and Luca Cagano. I was actually busy on that day, so unfortunately, I couldn't move anything around either. But I have seen some fantastic responses, so I'm very looking forward to giving these a go. Now, I apologise that these 2 bottles may not be something you'll be able to pick up in the UK. I have yet to see them online, unless I've been mistaken. But as we know with Rum on the Couch, there's the odd one that sort of more expands what is available in the rum world to get your teeth sunk into. So, I've got a little letter that came with these 2 bottles to give you a bit of context. We're proud to share with you the 2 new vintages of Appleton Estate's Hearts collection, our limited edition release of 100% pot still rums. We feel that this is a truly historical moment, a time when 100% pot still expressions are transforming the world of rums. Following the great success of our 2020 releases, I will put a link to the previous Rum on the Couch video that focused on them for you. We felt compelled to continue this journey of discovery of the very best a legendary rum distiller can share with the world. We personally selected 2 vintage pot still distillates aged for 37 and 18 years from Appleton Estate's legendary inventory of over 200,000 barrels of aging rums. Today, we're pleased to introduce you the Hearts Collection 1984 and 2003. Now, here's where it gets interesting. These are distilled in a Forsyth pot still and aged with the tropical weather of Jamaica in American oak barrels, which these exquisite rums represent a time capsule of decades of diligent craftsmanship. So the 1984 was distilled in 1984 and bottled in 2021. It's only 1,800 bottles available globally. And to our knowledge, it's the oldest tropical aged 100% single mark pot still rum to be ever bottled in history. The 2003 was obviously naturally distilled in 2003 itself, bottled in 2021, will be launched in parallel with only 5,000 bottles available. So let's give them a go. Let's start with the 1984. Now, I'm liking this because obviously, even though they're only quite small bottles, I wasn't expecting to ever get a full one. Full size. The box itself does give a bit of more context as well. So as we know, distilled in 1984, bottled in 2021. It's 100% pot still. The total congeners for this is 2,197 casks number 3391 through to 3399, and one of only 650 bottles. Just checking if there's anything else that we can explain here. Distilled in the Forsyth pot still, as we know, aged for 37 years. My apologies. Let's give it a go. It's also 63% ABV, so this is a good way of starting a Saturday. I think I've already started. It would help if I can get this open. It's always a shame when you have to crack open a bottle sometimes, especially when it's been nicely waxed and nicely presented, and I can't get this open. Annoyingly, the seal bit's broken, but the there we go. Not the best way of opening it, but no matter, it is open. So, 63% did I say? It is. Have my glass. Now, I have to admit, the first thing I saw there was how thick it came across. Not sugar syrup thick, but the colour itself. I mean, look at that. That is dark. So, I'm very intrigued to give these a go. I was blown away with how good the first 3 expressions were back in 2020. And the first thing I get is that tropical sun-kissed raisin. You get that prunes, you get the little bit of kind of like a Manuka honey sort of style as well. It's actually it's fresher than you'd expect. For the age profile, there's a lot more effervescent elements towards this. There is something else there, and I can't think what it could be, actually. I kind of want to say that you do get that kind of burnt orange, but more like the orange zest. So you kind of get the oils coming through more. It's a very inviting aroma, which is good. Okay, let's give it a go. Really, boom, straight away. Well, it's actually quite hard to describe. So it really hits you. You get a beautiful, powerful element towards it. Very, very fresh. You then it somehow expands even more, like mid, and then it dies down beautifully. It's still there now, so quite a long profile. The kind of flavours I'm getting is consistent to what I picked up on the nose. I get that kind of burnt truffle. I get that kind of caramelized caramel. I know that's using the same word twice, but you know what I mean. There's an element of sort of, in my mind I want to say marshmallow, but I don't think it is marshmallow. It's that sort of, it's that aroma you get when you start to roast marshmallows. Second sip, not as intense anymore. It's not the first time I just drank it, so it's really opening up a little bit better now. You definitely get the raisins. It's actually very, very rich. Not sugar rich, but like oak rich. There's a lot of maturation coming through here. There's a lot of intense sort of, it's not dry profiles, but you kind of get that kind of, what's the word to use? Sort of a dampness towards it, but actually saturated and rich, like I say, raisins, sultanas, prunes, so like a very intense fruit mix. And it's almost as if then you just splash on some Appleton Estate on there. It's a beautiful mix. That's not one to start with, I have to admit. It's a beautiful liquid. But I'll tell you what, if you've never had Appleton Estate before, you do not want to start with that one. I can see potentially that it would put a handful of people off who are newbies to Appleton Estate and Jamaican rum. But as someone who has been to Appleton in Jamaica, someone who has experienced and loved Appleton Estate since day one, that's fantastic. That is really, really good. Very, very different to the very first 3 of the bottlings back in 2020 as well. There's no, yes, that's similar to this one, that's similar to that one. It's completely on its own. That's very good to see. Okay, so that's the first one. That was 1984. Let's get the 2003 bottling out now. So, same ABV, 63%. As we know now, it's 100% pot still. It's aged for 18 years in comparison to obviously 37. Gina is actually a little bit less than 2003, so 688 in comparison to those 2,197. Cast numbers 420930 throughout to number 420950, and one of only 1,280 bottles. I'm liking that kind of detail. I know it's something for a lot of people, but working with rums my personal self with St. Lucia Distillers, transparency has really sort of grown up in the last, I'd say 5 years now. maybe a little bit longer in certain brands. And it's been great to sort of understand context. You know, why have you used such a thing, and what, dare I say, where did it come from in the warehouse? You know, and it can make a big difference. I won't go into too much detail now, but if you do get a ticket to Manchester Rum Festival, there's a lot of brands who will offer you that context, that understanding of why they do what they do and why they've chosen what they've done to put into a bottle for you guys to enjoy. Anyway, so Appleton Estate 2003 Hearts Collection, a lot lighter on the colour. That's very, very significant. In comparison to that 1984. Now, it's a lot more like cedar wood. That kind of light seasoning style. Not as heavy, but then again, not as expected either. I'm also thinking, have I put this in the wrong way around? I don't know. I probably have, but then again, there's no rules. So definitely a lot lighter. You kind of get more of the citrus profile, a bit more like lemons and limes. Not saying grapefruit, but that sort of end of the citrus, the more kind of fragrant elements. There's not as much orange in this. That zest that I picked up with the 1984, there's not that really coming through. There's a lot more kind of fleshy fruit element. Nothing too rich, not kind of stone fruits either, but there's a little bit, in my mind, I get mango. But either way, a lot lighter, a lot thinner. It comes across, doesn't have that wave of richness hitting your nostrils. So let's give it a go. 63% ABV still. Wow. Granted, as expected again, a little bit easier to get your mouth around compared to 1984, but you still get a beautiful waves as well. It keeps coming. You don't get the pop in the middle, but to be brutally honest, I get the creme brulee element. I do get that kind of fleshy fruit profile coming through again. Maybe the mango isn't as defined as it was on the nose for me, but that may be just me trying to work out what it could be. I don't think there really is any mango elements, but you get that flesh fruit element. I actually get a little bit of banana right at the end as well. That kind of really ripe banana. Kind of a green fig style as well. Quite light, quite thin. Doesn't have the thickness, doesn't have that richness, but you get a lot more complexity to this. Saying that, I can't define what they are, but there's lots going on, but my mind's sort of not comprehending what it could be, which is not of any use whatsoever right now for you guys. But I feel like this is one I have to sit down and really sort of appreciate. Maybe sort of get that kind of air to it a little bit, open it up a bit more, and give it a go. But it's still there. It's a very, very long profile. I'm liking that. That's two very different rums from the latest batch of the Appleton Estate Hearts collection. And again, very, very different to the first three back in 2020 as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, like I say, I'm unaware at the moment if these are actually released here in the UK. I couldn't see anything. I had a quick look online before, although I may be wrong. It may be coming out this year. It doesn't say on my little piece of paper. But if you do, pardon me, get the opportunity to give these a go, definitely give them a shout, especially if you can get your hands on the previous three as well. Not just collector's editions, but very fantastic insight into how Jamaican rum is perceived as well. Obviously, as a quick mention, if you haven't already bought your tickets to Manchester Rum Festival 2022 on June the 18th, please do make sure you pick them up on manchesterrumfestival.com/tickets. And I'd love to see you guys there as we announce even more newcomers to Manchester Rum Festival as well. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you all very soon.